Our next guest is in the studio. Abdullahi is Executive Director of Elitecrew Consulting Limited. He's a man who commentates a lot on what's happening in the country. Abdullahi, good morning.
Good morning, Eric.
How are you doing?
I am very fine. How are you?
Very, very well. Karibu sana to Kenya's biggest conversation.
Thank you very much. It's good to be back when a lot is happening.
Yeah, there's a lot that's happening. To welcome you to the conversation, CT will give you the day's proverb.
Yes, our proverbs for this week come from the island nation or the Republic of Sao Tome and Principe. Okay?
Yes.
Very close to the equator. It's a Central African country. Lovely beaches and all that.
Yeah? Central Africa, and it's an island.
Yes, it is. It's considered a Central African country. It's considered because yes, kuna Atlantic hatukatai, but it's considered a Central African Republic. Considered. Yes, if you look at the map, okay.
So where is it? Is it on this side of ours or on the other side of Kinandu?
Kidogo up the corner there.
Kinandu.
Yes.
Huko pale.
No, Kinandu wako mbali kidogo. Ni hapa chini kidogo tu. Hapa kidogo tu hapo kwa kona.
Kidogo kama maili ngapi?
Si hapa tu.
Unaona map?
Kwa hiyo hapa
okay.
Huyo ni Mkenya anapatiana direction.
Okay, look at my hand. Ukienda tu hivi pale kwa kona kipiga namna hii.
Inasema aje
Hapo.
Inasema aje?
Do not blame God for creating the tiger. But thank him for not giving it wings.
Do not blame God for creating the tiger, but thank him for not giving it wings.
Wow, that one is dope. Deep.
Abdullahi.
The tiger. What do you associate with the tiger? The tiger belongs to the family of the lions, the cats. These get tough guys. So now imagine a tiger having wings. It will have destroyed both what is on the ground and what is in the sky, because it's sharp, fast, very fierce. So I think Ndu, could you please help me? I'm blank this morning.
You are on your own.
You're leaving me on my own.
You're on your own.
Opinion.
So we said, do not blame God for creating
The tiger.
But be thankful
That he didn't give it wings.
that he didn't give it wing.
Yep.
Okay. It's like saying, you do not blame God of what you are not given, but you should appreciate what you have.
See?
It's like saying, Abdullahi is lamenting why he's a camel ladder, but not appreciating why he was invited to Spice FM.
Oh my God.
Not appreciating that he has camels.
Yes.
Long way,
And
for you to make it to Spice.
Yes.
Do you know how many thorns and legs and mountains you have to climb to come here? So I think we should enjoy what we have as we look for what we don't.
That's true.
Yeah.
A lot's happened in the country recently.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
What's your basic reading of where the country is?
Before I start anything, first I want to mourn. And I want to send my condolences to the people of Kenya. We have lost people. I told you, Eric, I'm a father. God blessed me with 8 boys and 2 girls.
Ndu has looked at you like,
Yeah,
say that again.
I've lost 3 boys and 1 girl. And when I lost my daughter Zainab in 2020, I think, it was the most sickening feeling I had in my stomach. And because I loved her, she was my first daughter. The rest were boys. And I buried her with my kanzu so that she goes to heaven with my clothes. So as a father who has today 5 boys and a girl and still counting, Ndu can look at me because we don't come from the same background, my dear. I'm a warrior. Giving birth is a thing. We don't smoke, we don't drink, we don't party. We have no bar in Mandera. We don't drink alcohol.
I didn't say anything about
No, I'm joking. We jamani anasema we jamani chokora.
Apart from watching football.
Yes. I don't even watch.
Other rituals.
I don't even watch football, Mr. I don't watch football. So I want to say
Then hakuna TV Mandera.
no, they are, but even in my house.
See what wanna watch?
They do. When they watch, they do. Young men do. My own daughters and sons do. So what I'm saying is, I got the privilege of going to school in Busia. I started my schooling in a Jami Primary School in Busia, which was a border. My dad was a businessman. And growing up with the Luya community affected even our habit of eating. Unajua Mluya ukimletea mchele na chapati anaongojea chakula. So in my house you bring me rice, I don't even look at it. I prefer ugali, githeri, modokoi, fish. That's the kind of life the Luya community introduced to me. And it helped me because my society's habit of eating is costing them lives. And for us now who are there, we're enjoying life. Sisi tunakamata sturungi na githeri asubuhi. Waria hiyo ni matusi. Waria lazima akamata anjera, nyama, maini, hizi vitu. So I am sending my honest condolences to the people who lost their loved ones, but they were not the first. It started with Pimto in 1965. It started with Tomboy in 1969. The same year, Rachel Ruto was born, 1969. J.M. Kariuki was killed in 1975. So this was a struggle that started a very long time. Coming to what has transpired from June 25th about the generational Zoomers or Jay-Z, they built and worked on a platform that was built and a struggle that was there from 1963. I want to go back to our topic today. We talk about federalism or what do you call Majimbosm. There is an article written by one of the professors, Dr. Mutuma Rutete. He's the dean, maybe that time he was the dean of Kenya Human Rights Institute in 2007. And it was again rewritten in 2020. If you look at federalism, it was there even in the 40s and the 50s. But now, when we got independence and we went to Lancaster in 62, majority of the people who were advocating for this are people considered to be the minority communities. Why? There was the dominance of the central Kenya and Rift Valley in the government. And you and I spoke about here how Kenyatta appointed 6 people from Kiambu in 1967 cabinet. So this was a struggle that started a very long time. And then came 1992, repealing Section 2A, 97, agitation for multi-party democracy. This is now when people like me were introduced to Gitobo Imanyara, Paul Mwangi, Paul Mute, our first lady, tough lady, Mother Karua, Mutai. All these guys now are introduced to us. You see, and now in 2010, even though at the IPPG thing, it was the government hijacking, which I'm going to warn against the Jay-Zs. We got the Constitution of Kenya. Now, the Jay-Zs are building on this Constitution because they have the freedom to talk. They have the freedom to imagine. I listened to Macharia Gaide when he was here, and he said in 1982, even entertaining the thought of criticizing Moi, not protesting, even in your dreams, you entertain the thoughts of criticizing Moi or Kanu government, you'll be snatched and then you disappear. They torture you. You see, so we came from far. Pinto was 37 when he died. So you see, today we have an opportunity to turn a new page in our country. That page is not the page we're expecting from the current cabinet, from the current parliament, and from the current executive.
Do we know the page?
You see, before you entertain the idea of going to the showers, you have to know what you want to do. Now, these guys have said, we don't want the bill. this finance bill is bad for us. Hata chumvi one. Hata chumvi you want to tax. we borrow from the neighbors, you want to tax. So the idea of refusing the bill is the first step. Now, Jay-Z needs to be guided. The country needs to be guided. There is the difference between agitating for change and destroying a nation. In 1992, I was a very young boy in Ramu when the late Siad Barre government was toppled in Somalia. Professors, businessmen, like the current Kenyan cream, were refugees. They were running around like headless chicken, confused, worried, don't know the future. They have left their country. And we hosted them in Nairobi, Dadaab. They become refugees. I've worked in Somalia for 10 years. I do not want to destroy this nation.
Why are you saying that? How do you draw the line or the correlation between what's happened and the risk of destroying the country?
What happened, we were even, there were three forces within what was happening. They were young, vibrant, educated Kenyans who were born in 96. These are people who are 28. Me, I've already passed 40. So I've been around for some time. And deep, again, I went back to books. I told you I don't drink, I don't smoke, I make babies, I read books. Now, what I've seen is this. Sudan was one of the most beautiful countries. It was the country that was giving us Muslims hope because they were giving us scholarship, especially those of us from northern Kenya. Libya was one time a desert. Muammar Gaddafi came to power, he turned things around. It was the country where everything was virtually free and it had no debt. But he destroyed it because what tyrants do, if you look at how tyrants behave, they build the country and then they refuse to leave. And because people are tired, the country is destroyed. Now, what Jay-Z needs to do is, today they are going to Ministry of Health. Go there, sit outside, air your views, don't beat people, don't destroy property, don't allow goons to penetrate you. There are people in this country who are interested in toppling the government. They were not happy before election. They are not happy today. These are people who grew up in power. They know themselves. We don't need to mention names. But now, you and I discussed here how I wrote 2 articles. Religious role in a secular state on the Star. I also wrote, Gachagua should stop talking and start working. The same have come to pass. Using the Bible to brainwash people. Hitler was using the same thing. So what we need to do now is, I was happy the military came.
Why?
I was happy the country is still today a country. Why am I happy? We will talk of the legalities of things in having a country rather than destroying a country when the military are in the camp. I told you, I have a lot of friends in government. There are people from the police, from the military, from the executive, previous politicians. Allegation is made they wanted to overthrow the government. If you talk to people in the intelligence, which I do have, not necessarily from northern Kenya, but people I went to school with, the executive, the president and his team have issues. The president himself has issues. The cabinet have issues. These are guys who are worth, I told you, 15 point something billion when you look at the asset. Yet they have not given us Facebook or Twitter. They have not produced penicillin. They have written a book and they are very rich. We will discuss that later. Now, the country is peaceful today. We have a country, a very beautiful country, but with unfortunate politicians. Very beautiful country with very beautiful people with unfortunate politicians. They are greedy. I saw the salary of Peter Selassie because he put it on Facebook. 1,162,162. I did some maths. Peter Selassie alone salary can employ 78 junior secondary teachers. 78, because you don't need to be. I was not good in maths, but I wasn't that poor. 1,162,162 divided by 15,000 is 77.6 plus, because I did the maths. So 78 teachers, when you round off, 78 teachers who will have taught junior secondary. Junior secondary, my daughter is now PP1. Her teacher is called Madam Irene. I was asking, why should we pay her 15,000? Why don't we pay her 50? What is it that a member of parliament does in that parliament that is going to add value in Kenya?
Mm-hmm. I want to take a step back into some of the things that you've said so far, and I want to delve into this one. You're saying that the Gen Z should be careful
yes,
with the demonstrations because there are allegations of other parties.
Intruders and infiltrators or other parties.
Yeah, but this is all talk that we've had so far. Abdullahi.
Yes.
The Gen Zs that we saw yesterday at Uhuru Park, the Gen Zs that we've seen in other parts of the country in the peaceful demos have largely been peaceful.
What about the Gen Zs who were breaking into people's houses? Were they Gen Zs or demonstrations were happening?
Okay.
Who are the ones who are destroying Parliament? Why do you destroy Parliament? Parliament belongs to us. You demonstrate, you go there. The food is ours, by the way. I was happy they ate the food. I was happy they were wearing the uniform. That's all ours.
You're just unhappy that they entered.
No, I'm unhappy that they broke. Some of them started destroying some properties. I want them to protest.
So who bears responsibility here? Is it the Gen Z who is out to protest? Or is it the government that is out that should be protecting lives and property?
I told you before, and I'm saying
I am hearing like you're placing the responsibility of ensuring that there are no infiltrators
they are
on the demonstrators.
They are different. They are different people who should bear different responsibilities. The demonstrators, at any point, should not be violent.
How do they stop anybody who wants to come in and bring an element of violence? Then
that's why they need now
they
need to make compartments of people within them. If there are, let's say, 700 people or 500 people contesting, you see, this is a country that has a rule of law. We passed a constitution. There are police. There are checks and balances. The moment a person throws stones at me and hits me, he ceases to be a protester. He becomes a criminal because you are violating my rights.
That's true.
Yes. So the penal code kicks in.
That's true.
This is a country that has laws. So the police have failed to protect the protesters. The president has failed to protect lives. Because Article 1 talks about people practicing their sovereignty directly or indirectly through their democratically elected representatives.
Mm-hmm.
Number one is His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Kenya, Dr. William Ruto. He bears the responsibility. In countries where they are civilized, I happen to live. You've seen the Prime Minister of Holland leaving his office with a bicycle. Because living, the white man's way of living is to make sure there is peace and harmony and life, everyone is equal, there is social this. Here, people think being rich is accumulating artificial wealth. You must have big cars. Like a friend of mine just bought a car with 10 million. And I happened to drive in it. And then we're having a discussion. A very close friend. A guy who bought me a suit of 25,000. I asked him, why are you buying a car at 10 million when you can do an orphanage in your village? You see, so our perspective of life is...
What was his answer?
He said he wants to enjoy life. Another one has just bought a new house. Another one, you see, you're buying things at, 40 million, 30 million, 20 million. Yet you're not an inventor. You're not an industrialist. You're just doing business with government. You're corrupting officials. You're getting a contract of 100 million, 70 million, 1 billion, like that. So you think that is what's going to give you... The moment you realize that artificial wealth gives you comfort, you cease to be a decent human being and a person who has deficiencies. Who like the president I was saying when he was dressing in those regalias from the days he was campaigning. I asked myself, Ruto was 30 years when he was elected.
He was.
Did he ever travel in the country before he was elected? Did he wear suits before he was elected?
He did.
He did. So he doesn't need to show us all. So I think there is inadequacy in some human beings, that for you to live in a good house, you must sleep in a house that is worth 40 billion, 20 billion, 10 million.
So things, we've heard many things over the last couple of weeks. When we look at the whole, I'm going to call it revolution because that's what it is, the whole Gen Z revolution, and what we've been seeing, whereby you have historical landmark decisions never been done before in this country. And then it doesn't stop there, but that there's constant pressure on government, on the president, to do certain things in a certain way, and that he's been kept engaged thoroughly to say, no, it's not going to be business as usual. You cannot continue to run this country in the way in which you have been before. Are we actually looking at a space whereby things could actually change? And I hear you giving insight to certain things. You say, well, it is not possible for you to be so wealthy when you've not developed a thing. And so we're hearing the calling out of several members of parliament, on cabinet secretaries. Many things are happening at the same time. The question would be, where is this all going? Where should all of this go?
This country has struggled to have the 2010 constitution, which I have here. We have spoken, we came to Bomas, we collected views. Kenyans have decided to have how this country is going to be governed. Now, if you look at the constitution, which has a lot of other things that most Kenyans do not know, is Article 1 gives us the sovereign power because we are the taxpayers. We donated power. What we need to do is implement these documents. You see, these documents is going to be implemented, and then we have all other acts that are going to operate. We don't need a lot of president provados. We don't need members of parliament we don't need those things. That's why we have a document. So we have the final. If you look at the document, the parliament is number one in the constitution, followed by the executive, followed by the judiciary.
Explain what you mean by parliament is number one, please.
As in, as the representative of the people.
And the people are sovereign.
Now that the people are sovereign under Article 1,
yes,
and they elected them directly, they are coming to represent people before the president. Directly. And then followed by the executive, and then we have the judiciary. Now, parliament of previous people, of J.M. Kariuki, of Matiba, and this parliament are different. There's a guy, an economist, my friend, I was telling him you should contest in your village back in Lefe. He's called Abdullahi Abdi. I told him the ones we have in northern, we have MPs in other Kenya, but we normally joke around on social media that in northern Kenya, majority are sub-clan representatives. Why? Because the way they are anointed is more of an anointment than an election. Election means people come sell ideas and then they're elected. Now, this country has come from far. I want to tell Jay-Z, you should appreciate that you built on what people have built. One of them is the constitution that gives you the Bill of Rights. The constitution that protects you from the bullet. The constitution that gives you access to lawyers in the jail. The constitution that gives you shouting in the back of on top of a car and even in the cell. Na police munawambia mutadu. That freedom came with a price. What you need now to do is get structured. Like this morning, I slept, because of the show, I slept around 9:30, 10. So I woke up at 2 a.m. to drink some water and do some things. Then I went to social media. I saw there was an aftermath of Sabasaba. There were guys who were online. So I tuned in. 2 a.m. I left the room, sat somewhere private, and then tuned in and listened. When I listened, I saw the young men and women are very, very enthusiastic about what should be done and how it should be done. But they don't know what should be done.
Why do you say they don't know, and yet you say they are talking about what should be done?
What should be done means when you say the bill, finance bill down, it's down.
It's down.
Parliament is out, is out. But this is a country of laws. So we need to do everything we're doing with it.
So essentially you're asking what happens next.
Yes. This is what I did. I said, let's focus. Agenda 1, scrap CDF. Agenda 1. And I'm basing my arguments on, I've read the judgment from the High Court, I've read the judgment from the Court of Appeal, I have read the judgment from the Supreme Court. Now, it's the President to ask the Attorney General to go to the Supreme Court and ask how this thing is going to be scrapped. But it's unconstitutional already. There are 3 judgments. Court of Appeal is one of the most competent courts we have in this country.
Yes.
So that one is done. Number 2, I want to tell them, petition the President to dissolve Parliament. What do we do? Tomorrow I'm told the youth are going to Boma. I want to attend. When you petition the President, he will form a tribunal. If I was in the presidential team, I would have appointed someone like either Maraga, Philomena Mwilu, Gitobu Imanyara to lead this tribunal. Guys who fought for this thing. Guys who were tortured.
They fought for what?
Yes?
They fought
for independence, for constitutional change, who wrote about it, who are advocating for it. Then when the President forms the tribunal, we have the right to petition the President. He has the powers to form the tribunal. The tribunal will come with recommendation. Parliament will go. Number 3, what do? We dissolve the cabinet because we donated power to President William Ruto. He appointed people. So they have 2 options. They either resign or he fires them. Once that happens, we are at a very good space now.
Now, when all that happens, then what do we do next?
What do we do next is this. We forget about the presidency for now. You need to take one step at a time.
Yes.
We don't want chaos. We don't want, mayhem and lawlessness. Ruto will deal with him later. Wacha kwanza yeye akae. Parliament ikienda, CDF ikienda, executive ikienda, we have resolved our problem 60-70%. Why? We are going to elect people we want.
But we haven't constituted the IEBC.
You see, now that one is just telling the President, please. The President has the powers to constitute. Please constitute. But before we do this...
He doesn't have powers to constitute the IEBC.
No, I'm saying when...
He can sign the bill.
When he signs the bill, isn't it?
Yes.
So they are recruited, and then they are taken to Parliament, they are vetted, and then they are... But who selects...
You see that process... MPs out, that one I get. What we're saying is...
I don't get the MPs out bit. But
No.
you ask first.
I'll tell you why I get the MPs out bit. The MPs out is if they are the ones who have been responsible for the problems that we currently have because it has been seen as them being appendage of the executive, then the usefulness, should you say, is watered down. However, remember, we have a recall clause. In the absence of that process where you petition the President,
Yes, we still have, yes.
the people who elected them should have the say as to whether they want to keep the MP or not.
And there is a judgment to that effect.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
Now, what we're saying is there is that important perspective of ensuring what comes before what. Because at the end of the day, even if you appoint would-be commissioners for the IEBC, there has to be a parliament to actually vet. So we're saying there are processes that probably need to go because we are seeking change.
Yeah, we can ask which one comes first.
Yes.
We can say, now that these, political novices or kleptocratic maniacs in Parliament are the ones who have done this, watch our kai to answer an IEBC. When they vet them, we recall them. It's rearranging. Which one goes for A or B or C? Which one is first?
Abdullahi, there's something that has happened here. You mentioned when we came in and we were discussing this thing off air, how many members of Parliament are afraid to even go back to their constituencies.
Yes.
Now, let me ask the question. Let's say Parliament is reconstituted again, or they're called back in, the recess is over. Do you think if an issue, say like the IEBC, comes before them, do you think they're going to make the sort of decisions that they made before, knowing exactly what the finance bill and their voting did? Do you think they'll be voting in the same way they voted?
They'll be very careful.
Yes. So if they are careful, don't you think we'll have achieved what we wanted? Meaning at last, there's a check and balance.
Yes.
The politicians understand that if you make a decision that is unconstitutional...
You saw what's happening in the Senate.
Yes.
Yes. Are
we not saying using a roundabout way, essentially, to say that it was necessary for this jumper cable movement to happen.
Absolutely.
Because now there are conversations that are being had in this country, there are actions that are being made in this country, there are things that are being done, thought processes that have been turned on their head as a result of this thing that happened.
The Jay-Z came with
Gen
sophistication.
Z came with this idea.
Very sophisticated.
Some questions we would not be asking now. Nobody had the effrontery at any point to begin to question what members of parliament were actually doing and push it to its logical conclusion. So are we not saying here that this sparked off something that my only hope would be that it ends in good governance? Because that's essentially what the call is for today. It's exemplified in Reject Finance Bill. It's exemplified, yes, in even of calls of Ruto must go. But what we are saying now is that the push is for good governance. And is that not where we should be going?
We will. But you see, when you start a process, there will be a lot of confusion. But along the way, you will be understanding which one comes first. What do we do next? You talk more. There is something no one can take away from Gen Z. The sophistication and mobilization of what they were doing. I think I was all texting you on WhatsApp. Sometimes I used to be awake until 2 a.m. for the first time in many years, unless I'm praying. Listening to Miguna, listening to doctors, listening to lawyers. And I was happy. You know, I was going to court, I told you, in 2013, because these are some of the things we were agitating for. Now, the JC have gone one step ahead.
Several, not even one.
Yes, I'm saying the sophistication in the sharing of information and revealing their numbers. They are revealing the Senate, the Congress and senators from White House who are there. I have all their details, courtesy of Gen Z. I can email them. Tell them, what are you doing in my parliament? I don't come to your Senate or Congress. What are you doing here? Now, they went further. They exposed, there are people who are specialized in cybersecurity. There are guys who did computer science. So, I think there was allegation that a video surfaced of Baringo women rep.
There was such allegations.
That lady disappeared from the scene from that day. No one has ever seen her again. Now, I'm told some of them sleep at Boma, members of parliament. Usiku wanaingia huko, wanalala, asubuhi wanatoka. Number plates have disappeared from cars. Sirens have disappeared. Taking the wrong lane has disappeared. That is the work of Gen Z. The president is no longer traveling. That is the work of Gen Z. You cannot take that away from them. But they were building on what was coming.
Yes.
And they are being supported by... There is a lady called Irene Chola who was at the church, crying, breaking down, saying we cannot just send, and she's in my age bracket. Okay? She said we cannot just allow to send our sons and daughters outside and stay at home. The church. I want please you to Google for us Matthew 5:37. Please.
Okay, I'll do
yes.
that. Okay.
Quran 3:185. We'll quote both books today for the benefit of people, and we're going to play 10 seconds of something here.
But let your speech be yea, yea, nay, nay, and whatever is more than these is of the evil one. Abi? Matthew 5:37.
Your Matthew
all you
and my
need
Matthew
to say,
What
you need to say
what does your Matthew
is
say?
simply yes or no. Anything beyond this comes from the evil one. That is Matthew 5:37. Did you mean another Matthew?
No.
My Matthew and your Matthew.
Okay.
Okay, which version would you like me to read it
Matthews.
in?
Let's merge the Matthews. Eh?
Let's start the Quran. Quran 3:185.
Yes.
Every soul will taste death, and you'll only receive your full reward on the day of judgment. Whoever is spared from the fire and is admitted into paradise will indeed triumph, whereas the life of this world is no more than the delusion of enjoyment.
I've sent you WhatsApp. Please read for us, Ndo.
This your Matthew 5:37
My
is
Matthew
very
is different from
interesting.
your
It's a
Matthew.
different Matthew.
Maybe it's Malachi, but when
Your Matthew
Matthew.
has one T. The one in the Bible has two.
It's Matthias.
Where to end the answer?
Why do people engage in such deceit to achieve their own aims and to achieve the objectives they desire? And so they adopt certain methods which shows that they are not upstanding and that they are not honest At such times, people's insidiousness and cunning is revealed. Are you sure this is from the Bible?
Yes.
Anyway, and cunning is revealed, or else their maliciousness and ignobility. With these things, you feel that it is especially hard to be honest. Without them, you should feel that being honest is easy. The greatest obstacles to being honest are people's insidiousness, their deceitfulness, their maliciousness, and their ignoble motivations. Honesty means to give your heart to God. Never play him false in anything. To be open with him in all things, never hiding the truth, never to do that which deceives those above and deludes those below, and never to do that which merely ingratiates yourself with God. In short, to be honest is to refrain from impurity in your actions and words, and to deceive neither God nor man. Okay.
Yes, that one is the one I sent you.
It doesn't sound to me
Yes.
like a
The Arabic one is
It
here.
doesn't sound like a Matthew 5:37.
كل نفس ذائقة الموت وإنما توفون أجوركم يوم القيامة فمن زحزح عن النار وأدخل الجنة فقد فاز وما الحياة الدنيا إلا متاع الغرور.
Please read for us the translation. 1853,
You only 185.3.
please.
All right, let me get back.
That is Surah Al-Imran, number 3, 185 ayah.
All right, Quran 3, 185. Every soul will taste death, and you'll only receive your full reward on the day of judgment. Whoever is spared from the fire and is admitted into paradise will indeed triumph, whereas the life of this world is no more than the delusion of enjoyment.
Now,
I just have to clarify that Matthew 5:37 says, let your communication
This one is
be
37.
yes. 37.
yeah, 37.
Let your communication be yes, yes, no, no. For whatsoever is more than these is evil.
This is 537.
This is Matthew 5:37.
Yeah, okay. Correction. Now, this is my way of seeing life. If you go to the graves here, we have Christian and Muslim graves, the same place. When they bring people there, the day 12th of February 2021, we lost Nyachai. I think he was being buried. I don't know whether he died before. Then there was the late Yusuf Haji. Then there was my son. That morning. All of them, for Muslims, my son who was born an hour ago, and Yusuf Haji, the late, may Allah reward him in paradise, were all buried the same way. There was a small wrap of shit, through rituals, put in the graves, buried and left. Because I interacted with him, the late Yusuf Haji, and my son was just an hour old when he died. I said, maybe God one day, for the mercy of the child, is going to reward that man. When you go, and then there is a quote about, I think I quoted from Denzel Washington. He's talking about something that maybe our brother here will give us a lot of meaning, saying that, what did he say? He talked about something that catched my eye. He says,
Paraphrase it.
yeah, he talks about the U-Haul and has. You see, so
Now, tie these things together for us, Abdullahi.
when you go to the, when you accumulate wealth,
Yes,
material wealth, artificial wealth,
yes.
you all leave it.
Yes, everybody leaves it.
Nothing goes with you to the grave.
No.
I've also sent you a hadith in the Quran that says the most useful people are those who are helpful to others.
Yes.
When I sit alone and help someone, I sometimes consider that to be the most selfish thing a human being can do, is helping someone else. Because the gratitude...
Selfish or selfless?
No, the most selfish thing. Because the
The
feeling
most selfish thing is to be helpful, is to be selfless.
is selfless. You see, when you help someone, the feeling is yours. Like I told you, you don't have to lie when you have money. You can tell someone, I have 100 shillings, I can't give it to you, but we can eat together. When you now eat together, the feeling you get as a human being, the person who gave, is not the same as the person who received. So if, as a human being, the artificial wealth you're accumulating, you're going to live, and you're stealing it, the Bible talks about those who are doing wrong will go to hell. You know that. Islam, you will go to hell if you steal, if you lie, if you fornicate, if you know. Why are you doing all these things? We all commit mistakes, yes. But you repent.
If we look at the lives of the people who began this struggle, as we call it,
yes,
and we take the view that the struggle is a continuum, it's like a relay. You run, you hand
give
it over.
The baton.
You run, you hand it over. Now, this race has been run, and one learns with the time how to run and how to run better. Our first athletes who ran barefooted, even in the Olympics. Then with the time, everything improved.
With pain and endurance.
Now, we are at a point where our protest process has improved tremendously. We don't have to meet at Makadara grounds. We do not have to meet at Kamkunji grounds.
Courtesy of technology.
And the meetings take place every single day, almost every single hour.
Yeah.
Now, if I'm to take what you've been saying, would you say we're in a good place?
As a country?
Yes. Because of what I've just said, would you say we're in a good place?
Of course we are. Of course we are.
Now, how do you ensure that this good becomes better?
You see, we are already better because I told you my grandfather was born in 1907.
Yes.
My father was born in the 50s. I was born in the 80s. My daughter is now 5 years going to Duxie. She has an iPad. I was a camel herder. My daughter doesn't know where animals are. She goes to school with Muslims and Christians. So my wife is a senior nurse with a degree in nursing. So you cannot compare me being a father and my father being my father and my grandfather being the father of my father.
True.
Things have changed.
For the better.
For the better, because in 1960 when people were going to school, I was asking my dad, what happened to you people? You were 6. You see, so the country is in a better place. That's why last night, the people who were hosting us, they were in London, Australia, Canada, Europe, Africa, and they were all over. We were all in Nairobi. And every, Twitter space you see, there are more than 5,000, 25,000, listeners are about 5,000, like that. We have an opportunity to change our country for the better, yes. But Sudan is destroyed, Libya is destroyed, Syria is destroyed, Egypt is destroyed, Somalia is destroyed. You cannot talk about good governance when there is the rule of law.
Right.
The first principle of the rule of law is we should all be equal before the law.
That's it. Very well said, Abdullahi. Thank you very much for joining us. Abdullahi Alas is the executive director of Elitecrew Consulting. He's a consultant and a commentator on matters of governance.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.